My name is Wendy M. Williams. I'm 30 years old, and the night my boyfriend announced he was going to another woman's apartment at 11 o'clock, I finally stopped competing for a place in my own relationship. The smell of garlic and thyme filled our apartment. It was Tuesday, which had quietly become our night during the 2 years Ryan Carter and I lived together. I cooked, he chose the movie, and for a few hours we pretended the world outside our walls did not exist. I was stirring mushroom sauce when the door opened. Ryan usually came home exhausted, kicked off his shoes, and kissed me before complaining about work. That night, he entered with restless energy, already staring at his phone. "Hey," I said, leaning toward him. He offered me his cheek. "Dinner's almost ready." "Great." He smiled at something on his screen. Ryan was still wearing his fitted work shirt, but he had reapplied cologne, the expensive one he normally saved for weekends. "Good day?" I asked. "Actually, yeah. Jade finally closed that sports drink account she's been talking about." Jade. The name changed the temperature of the room. She had been Ryan's best friend since before we met. At first, I respected their history, but over the previous year, harmless friendship had developed sharper edges. Jade was a freelance marketing consultant whose social media showed rooftop parties, spontaneous road trips, and captions about living without limits. I designed architectural plans. My life involved measurements, schedules, and the quiet satisfaction of creating foundations that would not crack. Lately, Ryan treated my stability like a flaw. "That's good for her," I said. "She's celebrating tonight. She just installed this insane surround sound system. She says watching a movie there is practically a religious experience." The sauce continued bubbling. "We can watch something here," I offered. "That action movie you wanted is streaming." Ryan laughed. "Oh, Wendy, it isn't the same. Jade's building an actual home theater." I remembered spending weekends building our home, assembling shelves, painting walls, and making space for everything Ryan loved. 6 months earlier, while repainting the bedroom, he had rested his head against mine and whispered, "I love building a life with you." Now the memory felt borrowed from another couple. "So you're going there tonight?" "Yeah." She ordered food from that Thai place downtown. "We'll probably watch 2 movies." I turned toward the microwave clock. 10:45 p.m. "Ryan, it's almost 11. You have a presentation tomorrow morning." His expression tightened. "Don't be such a drag." "I'm not being a drag. It's one night. Jade knows how to enjoy life. She doesn't treat everything like a calendar emergency." "Unlike me?" He shrugged. "You said it." The words landed with surgical precision. He was choosing another woman, another apartment, and another version of himself over the evening we had shared for 2 years. Then he framed my concern as proof that I was defective. I looked at the dinner, the carefully set table, and the man already leaning emotionally toward the door. This was not about a movie. It was the final scene of something that had been ending for months. I could have argued. I could have listed every interrupted dinner, every canceled plan, and every time Jade suddenly needed him. But any reaction would become another story they could laugh about later. Wendy was jealous. Wendy was controlling. Wendy could not handle their friendship. So I turned off the stove. The sudden silence startled him. I looked directly into his eyes. "Okay," I said. "Have fun." Ryan blinked. "What?" "You're an adult. Make your choice." He had prepared himself for a fight. My calm left him without an opponent. "That's it?" "That's it." His confusion became irritation. "Fine. I'll see you whenever." He picked up his jacket and left. The door closed softly behind him. I stood alone for 1 minute, listening to the silence. Then I poured the untouched sauce into the sink, opened the hall closet, and pulled out my largest suitcase. Ryan thought he was leaving for a movie. He had no idea I was about to leave the relationship. The apartment changed the moment Ryan left. It was still the same room, the same couch, the same framed prints, the same half-finished dinner cooling beneath the kitchen light. But the atmosphere had shifted. What had felt like a shared home 10 minutes earlier now felt like a stage after the audience had gone. I carried the pot of mushroom sauce to the sink, For 2 hours, I had chopped, stirred, tasted, and adjusted everything because I knew exactly how Ryan liked it. I turned on the disposal and watched the meal disappear. It should have felt wasteful. Instead, it felt honest. Then I went to the hall closet and pulled out the large wheeled suitcase we used for weekend trips. I placed it on the bed and unzipped it. The sound seemed unnaturally loud. I did not pack in anger. There was no frantic throwing of clothes, no shattered picture frames, no attempt to punish him by destroying what we owned together. I moved methodically. Passport, birth certificate, employment records, the folder containing my bank information and insurance documents, my laptop, backup drives, and the small fireproof box holding my grandmother's necklace. Those were the pieces of my identity that existed before Ryan and would remain after him. Then I opened the closet. I took the clothes I actually wore. Work dresses, jeans, sweaters, running clothes, and the black suit I used for client presentations. I left behind the things Ryan had chosen for me but I never liked. The bright jacket he said made me look less serious. The novelty sweater he bought as a joke. The expensive heels that hurt my feet but supposedly made me look more spontaneous. In the bathroom, I packed my toothbrush, skincare products, hairbrush, and perfume. I left the matching bathrobes hanging beside each other. They suddenly looked like costumes from a relationship neither of us was still performing convincingly. As I packed, old memories surfaced, but not in the sentimental way I expected. They appeared like entries in a ledger. The 6 months I took additional drafting work to help Ryan pay down his student debt. The Saturdays I stopped meeting friends because he wanted me available for last-minute plans. The vacations I adjusted because he found my preferred quiet destinations too predictable. The expensive couch we purchased because he insisted our original one embarrassed him when Jade visited. At the time, every compromise felt like love. Now they looked like withdrawals from an account Ryan had never contributed to equally. His trip to Jade's apartment was not the first betrayal. It was simply the final charge the account could not cover. I opened the drawer beside the bed. Inside was a small velvet box. The engagement ring was not there yet. I had placed a deposit with a jeweler the previous month and brought home the empty presentation box while deciding how I wanted to propose. I had imagined asking Ryan during a weekend away in the mountains. Nothing dramatic. Just the two of us, a quiet cabin, and the future I thought we were building. I held the box for several seconds. Then I placed it in my suitcase. The deposit could be refunded in the morning. The last thing I packed was a framed photograph of my parents and me at my university graduation. Most of the photographs in the apartment were of Ryan and me, or of Ryan with friends. I left those behind. I was not taking memories that had already stopped belonging to me. Within an hour, my car held 2 suitcases, a duffel bag, and 2 boxes of books and personal belongings. The apartment looked nearly unchanged. I had taken nothing shared. No dishes, no furniture, no television, nothing Ryan could accuse me of stealing. I returned to the kitchen one final time. The table was still set for 2. I found a grocery list pad and wrote one sentence. Hope the movie was worth it. The sequel is called Moving Out. I placed the note beside the untouched plates. Then I walked out. The door locked behind me with a quiet click. I did not look back. My friend Danielle opened her door shortly after 2 in the morning. She wore pajama pants and an oversized sweatshirt, her hair tied loosely on top of her head. Her eyes moved from me to the luggage behind me. Do I need to ask? Not tonight. She stepped aside. Then come in. That was all. No interrogation. No lecture about trying again. No suggestion that I was overreacting. She helped carry my bags inside and made space on the couch. The next morning, I contacted the landlord. The lease was in both our names, so I explained that I was leaving because the relationship had ended. I paid the agreed penalty and transferred my half of the final month's rent and utilities into the shared account. I wanted no financial excuse for Ryan to contact me. Then I blocked his number, email, and social media accounts. Not to punish him, to protect myself from the performance I knew was coming. Ryan returned around 4 in the morning. I learned that later from the first voicemail he left using an unfamiliar number. Wendy, where are you? The apartment is empty. This isn't funny. Call me. I deleted it. An hour later, another number appeared. His voice was sharper. Fine. I understand you're angry. You've made your point. Now call me so we can discuss this like adults. Then he added, Jade thinks this is incredibly immature. I almost laughed. Of course, Jade had already been invited into the breakup. By that evening, Danielle heard from mutual friends that Ryan was telling people I had suffered a nervous breakdown. According to him, I had abandoned him because I was jealous of an innocent friendship. He says you disappeared without warning, Danielle told me carefully. I did warn him. When? When I told him to make his choice. Ryan had heard permission. What I had given him was closure. He simply did not recognize it until he came home and discovered I was no longer waiting. The first week after I left was quieter than I expected. Ryan kept trying to reach me through unfamiliar numbers, but every message followed the same pattern. Confusion first, then irritation, then the subtle insistence that I had overreacted. He never asked why I had felt so replaceable. He only asked when I was coming back. Danielle became my unwilling source of information because she was still connected to some of our mutual friends. I never asked for updates, but occasionally she would enter the living room with the careful expression people wear when carrying gossip they are not sure you want. One evening, while we ate pizza from the box, she said, Ryan is telling everyone you had some kind of breakdown. I took another bite. What kind? The jealous, controlling kind. According to him, you disappeared because you could not accept that Jade was only his friend. Of course. He says you abandoned him without warning. I spent 2 years warning him. Danielle looked at me for a moment. You seem strangely calm. I'm tired. That was the truth. Anger would have required me to remain emotionally connected to the story Ryan was telling. I had spent enough years reacting to his moods. I was not going to spend the breakup correcting his version of events. A week later, Danielle came home with a different expression. This time, there was no concern. There was satisfaction. The Jade situation is falling apart. I looked up from an apartment listing. What happened? Mike saw them at a bar last night. Ryan was crying. Jade looked bored. I said nothing. Apparently, Ryan thought their movie night meant something. Jade did not. Danielle leaned against the doorway. Mike heard her tell him, I'm not looking for anything serious. I thought we were only having fun. The sentence should have felt satisfying. It did not. It was too predictable to feel like revenge. Ryan had mistaken excitement for intimacy. Jade had enjoyed being chosen over me, but she had never promised to build a life with him afterward. He had abandoned a foundation for fireworks, then discovered fireworks could not hold weight. Danielle continued. And that marketing deal Ryan kept bragging about? What about it? Jade exaggerated almost everything. She was a junior consultant on one small part of the campaign. The client found out she was using their name to impress people and dropped her firm. I closed the apartment listing. So she lied. Apparently a lot. Jade's perfect life was beginning to collapse. Her professional reputation was damaged. She could no longer afford the expensive apartment Ryan had been so eager to visit. According to Mike, she was considering moving back in with her parents. Ryan was now paying the entire rent alone. The same apartment he once called boring had become too expensive without me. Mutual friends began distancing themselves from his version of the breakup. They remembered canceled plans, the way Jade always appeared whenever Ryan and I had something scheduled, and how often I had been asked to be understanding. The story was changing. I did not participate. While Ryan tried to control the narrative, I began building another life. I found a one-bedroom apartment across the city. It had tall windows, clean walls, and north-facing light that filled the rooms without making them unbearably hot. The bedroom was small. The kitchen was simple. There was enough space beside the window for my drafting table. I signed the lease immediately. Danielle helped me move. Unlike the apartment I had shared with Ryan, every decision belonged to me. I bought a deep leather chair because I liked it. I chose plain dishes instead of the expensive patterned set Ryan insisted looked more interesting. I placed my books wherever I wanted. No one complained that the room looked too serious. The silence did not feel empty. It felt peaceful. I returned to running in the mornings. The rhythm of my feet against the pavement cleared my thoughts more effectively than any conversation could have. At work, I took on a difficult renovation project involving an old theater. The structure had been damaged by years of careless alterations, and my job was to determine which walls could be removed without bringing everything down. The work felt symbolic. Not everything old needed to be preserved. Some structures survived only because everyone was afraid to examine the damage. Ryan's attempts to reach me became more deliberate. The first phase was guilt. A message appeared from another unknown number. Wendy, I know you're reading these. We shared 2 years together. Don't I deserve one conversation? You cannot ghost me like a stranger. This is cruel. Cruel. His choices were mistakes. My boundary was cruelty. I deleted the message. The second phase was nostalgia. A voicemail arrived late one evening. Ryan's voice was soft, thick with emotion. I found the playlist you made when we started dating. Remember the drive to the coast? We sang every terrible song. That was real, Wendy. What we had was real. He paused. Jade wasn't who I thought she was. She used me. I was stupid. Please call me. I miss us. I listened once, then deleted it. He did not miss me. He missed stability. He missed someone paying half the bills, cooking dinner, remembering appointments, and forgiving every small betrayal before it became a consequence. The third phase arrived through his sister, Melissa. She called from a number I did not recognize. Wendy, I know Ryan made a mistake, she said, but Jade manipulated him. He is devastated. I remained silent. A mature woman would understand that people make mistakes. You need to be the bigger person. I am being the bigger person, I replied. Then forgive him. Forgiveness does not require returning. Her tone sharpened. You are throwing away 2 years. No, I am refusing to waste more. I ended the call and blocked the number. The fourth phase came without disguise. Ryan sent message after message from another phone. Coward. You never loved me. You were waiting for an excuse to leave. You are cold. You are heartless. I hate you. I did not respond. For the first time, I saw the pattern without trying to excuse it. When guilt failed, he used nostalgia. When nostalgia failed, he sent someone else. When that failed, he became cruel. This was not grief. It was entitlement losing access. After that, the messages stopped. The silence returned. I believed it was finally over. Then, exactly 3 months after I left, Ryan appeared outside my new apartment building in the rain. 3 months to the day after I left, I was walking home from a late session at the gym. A light drizzle had settled over the city, softening the streetlights into blurred gold reflections across the pavement. My thoughts were on the renovation plans waiting at my apartment, a complicated theater project I was genuinely excited to finish. For the first time in years, my life had a steady center. Then a figure stepped away from the shadows near the entrance to my building. I recognized Ryan before he moved beneath the street lamp. He looked smaller somehow. The fitted shirts and carefully styled hair were gone. He wore a damp hoodie and old jeans. His face was pale, exhausted, and stripped of the confidence he once carried whenever he talked about Jade. Wendy, he said, please, we need to talk. I stopped several feet away. I did not invite him inside. I did not ask how long he had been waiting. I simply stood there with my keys in one hand and waited for him to say whatever he had rehearsed. I understand now, he began quickly. Everything. The rain gathered on his hair and ran along his face. I was blind. I was selfish. I threw away the best thing that ever happened to me for something that wasn't real. I remained silent. Jade lied about everything. The deal. Her feelings. All of it. She made me believe there was something between us. And then, when I finally chose her, she acted like I was ridiculous for expecting more. He gave a bitter laugh. She's gone now. Most of our friends don't talk to me. I can barely afford the apartment. There it was. Not simply regret. Consequences. Ryan wrapped his arms around himself and looked toward the building behind me. I'm alone, Wendy. He said it as though loneliness were an emergency I was still responsible for solving. I'm sorry, he continued. I am so sorry. I love you. I never stopped loving you. For months, I had imagined what I might feel if he finally stood in front of me and admitted everything. Vindication, anger, grief. Instead, I felt only distance. Ryan no longer seemed like the man I had planned to marry. He seemed like a lesson from a former life. Can we start over? He asked. Not move back in. Not immediately. Just coffee. One conversation. I looked at him carefully. You already had the conversation. He frowned. When? The night you left. That wasn't a conversation. You barely said anything. I told you to make your choice. I thought you were being sarcastic. No. I was finished arguing with someone who had already chosen. Ryan shook his head. It was one night. It was 2 years of small choices, Ryan. That night was simply the first time I stopped pretending they meant nothing. His face crumpled. I can change. Maybe you can. For us. There is no us. The words settled between us. He stepped closer, but I raised one hand. He stopped. I was confused, he said. Jade made everything feel exciting. You and I had become routine. I was building a life with you. I know that now. You knew it then. You just thought it would always be waiting when you came back. He looked down. The truth had finally reached him, but it had arrived too late to matter. I miss our apartment, he whispered. I miss Tuesday nights. I miss the dinners. I miss waking up next to you. You miss what I provided. That isn't fair. It is accurate. His eyes filled with tears. Don't you care about me at all? The question sounded painfully young. I softened, but only slightly. I care enough not to lie to you. Hope returned to his face for half a second. Then I continued. My life is peaceful now. It belongs to me. You are no longer part of it. We can rebuild. I already rebuilt. With someone else? No. With myself. That answer seemed to hurt him more than jealousy would have. If there had been another man, Ryan could have blamed competition. But there was no one else. I simply preferred my life without him. I know I hurt you, he said. But people forgive worse things. Forgiveness is not the same as access. His expression tightened, and for a moment I saw the old irritation return. So you're just going to punish me forever? No. I'm not punishing you at all. Then why won't you let me fix it? Because you are trying to fix your discomfort, not my trust. The anger disappeared as quickly as it came. He looked defeated again. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Except that it ended. His lips trembled. That's it? That's it. I slid my key into the building door. Goodbye, Ryan. I walked into the warm lobby and let the door close behind me. I did not look back. Upstairs, I showered, made tea, and sat in the leather chair beside the window. Rain continued sliding down the glass. The silence around me was deep, but it was no longer lonely. It was mine. For so long, I thought the ending of our relationship would be defined by Ryan choosing another woman. It wasn't. It was defined by the moment I chose myself.